So episode 124 is under our belts, everybody, as far as recording the audio, and we are back with the video post-show show. And so let me reintroduce the cast. JD.
Hey guys.
And Sanjay.
Aloha, brothers.
And for the first time in a while, we got Gabe in TO. How you doing, buddy?
Long time no see. It's been an interesting couple of months. I changed apartments. I started taking Japanese lessons, which is what I was doing immediately before this. And yeah, it's been fun to sit through the off season. No, it hasn't. It's been tiresome to sit through the off season. And now finally there's Tigers baseball on the horizon. So one of the things I've been doing to keep myself occupied is playing a baseball game called Out of the Park Baseball. Have any of you guys heard of this before?
Heard of it, but never actually gotten into it. But you've talked to me about it enough that I kind of would like to. Unfortunately, there's so many other commitments on the table right now. So why don't you tell us a bit about it and tell us what you did that made it so interesting for you this past off season?
So if the best way someone described it is, it's like if Animal Crossing, for people who know what wins above replacement is, you basically take on the role of a general manager or both anywhere in the baseball universe, major leagues, minor leagues, independent leagues, international leagues. So one of the things that I did during the offseason to keep me busy was to try and take the Hanshin Tigers to a championship. That was actually pretty straightforward. Keep an eye out for Obata, Inoue, and Junya Nishi. They carried me for a solid 20 years. So those guys are going to be fantastic for this squad. Then I decided, okay, let's expand the NPB, and I'll try running that. The Shizuoka Arrows won 7 Japan series between 2036 and 2042. Unfortunately, some of those were against the Tigers, so I have myself to blame for that. But the latest version of the game, Out of the Park Baseball 22, the beta version just dropped today for those of us who pre-ordered. The full version launches on Friday. So I got in as soon as the download was available, and I ran 32 versions of the 2021 NPB season.
And that's with the current rosters and all, like it's
that's current rosters. They actually have East Asian scouts who focus on these, and those ratings along with stats and a little bit of computer wizardry goes into coming up with these. So if you notice on MLB, they do have they predicted the World Series correctly the last 3 years. They predict the standings in this simulation engine. So I did the same. I ran 32 sims. You're not going to like the news. This thing hates the Tigers for some reason. I have a hunch why, but I'll get to that. So in the Central League, they predict the Giants have a 100% chance of going to the playoffs and an 81% chance of winning the pennant. In second place, they really like the Carp in this. They've given the Carp a 71% chance of making the playoffs, 12.5% chance of winning the pennant. The only other sims out of the 32, the Bay Stars and Swallows won a pennant each. The Tigers were only in the playoffs 31% of these sims. Now, the more sims you run, the more likely that happens. I think I know why this game is really down on the Tigers. It's the infield defense. The game places a lot of emphasis on defense at second base, at shortstop, and center field. And although our guys are good, they're not great. And as a result, a lot of our pitchers get knocked around as a result.
Okay, so question for you though. Do injuries and stuff like that come into play in these sims?
Oh yeah, injuries. There are many posts on the Out of the Park subreddit complaining about when 3 of their starting pitchers all go down with torn UCLs at the same time. So the Out of the Park gods are fickle, as much so as the baseball ones. There's also some neat little storylines, like someone will start selling a music album, or someone will want to start a charity, and will the team be willing to support that to increase the fan appreciation? Because let's not forget, you're also trying to make profit here too. Your owner can be meddlesome and either sign players behind your back, cut your draft budget if they're unhappy with you, or straight up fire you if you're doing that poor of a job.
Interesting. Sounds like a lot of fun, but it also sounds, as far as the commitment part goes, it sounds a little bit like fantasy baseball, like back in the day when I played that. And there's like, if you get if you get really good at it, like it really does require a lot of your time, but you can get really, really good at it to the point where people fear going up against you. But then there's also people that maybe take it easy, and I don't know if they're the ones that get canned or if they're just less successful or what. But you can comment on that a bit if you want.
Oh yeah, so you can play the game how you want. You can play through every single inning as the manager saying, okay, bunt here. Okay, double steal. No, bring the infield in. No, double play depth. Or you can do what I do, just be a GM and run through weeks and months at a time, only stopping when, oops, someone got injured, or, oh, we're not doing so hot. I should make a trade. So there's flexibility in how in-depth you want to go, depending on your time commitment. You could even play in online leagues against other GMs, and that can be either done like a season in a week, or in real time. So at 7:00, your game will be going on online and you can tune in. It's quite impressive what they've built, but it's not for everyone. If you're looking to actually be the person who presses X to swing the bat, stick with a Pro Yaku Spirits or MLB The Show.
Right. Well, I don't know. I don't know your age, Gabe, but I think the rest of us are over 40, and I think like even a game like that, which doesn't necessarily involve reflexes, like it's just such a commitment that like I don't know, like it sounds interesting, but it's also something that like having two young kids, I just can't imagine myself being able to put the time into it. But yeah, really
and
cool
that's
stuff.
fair. I mean, I'm playing it on super hard mode this year. I'm going to try and get the Buffaloes to win a championship.
Yeah. I'll tell you
Our
something.
turn to jump in the Dotonbori.
I have not predicted the Pacific League, but I definitely am bullish on the Buffaloes, if it's okay to say that.
I will be posting my Pacific League predictions along with the Central League. I got my hat rack right here.
Yeah.
So I'll be throwing that up on Twitter later tonight.
It'll be fun to see that. And it's certainly, I mean, this season is going to be fun. I can't help but wonder if the SoftBank dynasty is going to come to an end or if it's just going to continue. Is it going to depend on which Central League team makes the Nippon Series? I will say this. Hara is playing with the assumption that they are going there and he doesn't want to get swept again. He wants to win it all. He has talked about playing any given game with using just like 10 to 12 guys instead of using the whole bench, using the whole roster. So he's saying to his players, like, you guys need to be ready to play innings 1 through 9, no replacements, no pinch hitters, like go as though you're playing from start to finish. And that's the way he wants to manage them as well. He wants the players to kind of take more ownership over the wins and losses. And I don't know if that scares me or not. I mean, it's just interesting that he's doing that. And it will be interesting to see what he does and how his men respond to that. Now, speaking of predictions and stuff, guys, we just finished the show where we had 15, including ourselves, people predict the standings, and there were 2 overlaps, which means that we had 13 variations on the standings. I kind of like our chances of somebody being right. That being said, and you probably know this, Gabe, from doing the simulations, almost everybody, I think there was only 1 or 2 people that had the Tigers out of first or second, and nobody had the Giants out of first and second. And so if anything happens, and stuff does happen during seasons, we could all be wrong really fast. You know, it could very well happen. And then also, I was myself and JD were the only ones that had the Swallows out of 5th or 6th, I believe. And a lot of people had the Bay Stars in last or 5th as well. And so any one of those little variants and everybody's screwed. But what I want to talk about today with you guys in this show is the Tigers' individual statistics and how they're going to look at season's end, or what we think when we look into our own individual crystal balls. And so we'll start with the hitters. And who do you think is going to lead the team in batting average, and roughly with what kind of average? Sanjay, I'm going to start with you. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the tried and true formula that speed comes to the ballpark every day. So I'm going with Chikamoto, and he's going to end up with a 330 batting average, and that's going to be the tops in the team, I think.
Gabe, how about you?
I'm going to go with Kento Itohara. I think this year is going to be a bounce back for him. Losing the captaincy might provide a little bit of extra incentive. I think he's going to finish it around a 290.
Okay. He has been insisting that he wants to hit the 300 mark at some point. And I think he was 294 last year, but that was in limited time. And so I think it's fair to assume that he's going to hit somewhere in that range. So good call on that. JD, who you got, and with what kind of numbers?
Yeah, I follow what Sanjay said pretty well. I think Chikamoto is the guy who, I mean, not only can he hit quite well, to begin with, but he's got the speed to sort of beat out, any, just any throws that might come his way. And I don't know, maybe finish around 320, something like that.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, guys. You just stole my my bit there as well. Honestly, I think it is going to be Chikamoto, and I have actually got him having a career high season this year, and I think that he is going to lead he might even lead the CL in batting. That's my bold prediction here. I think he's going to be somewhere upper 320, 330, somewhere in that range. If you want me to give an exact number, okay, I'll do it 336.
Wow. Okay.
So he's going to lead the CL is my prediction. Okay,
Fortune
so for home
favors the
runs,
bold man.
for home runs, we kind of did a tiebreaker on the show of which foreigner is going to have the most home runs on the team and with how many, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to lead the team in home runs. We do have a couple of Japanese bats, right? Yusuke Oyama and the new Sato, the golden boy, who have a chance at hitting a whole bunch of bombs as well. Who's going to lead this team in home runs, and how many out of the park are we going to see, Gabe?
I'm going with Yusuke Oyama, and it's going to be 33, in my opinion. He's going to still be the top home run hitter. He found something last year. I hope he doesn't lose it.
Right on, right on. JD?
I'm going to go with Jerry Sands. I think he's going to hit 35. I think Sato is going to fall back down to earth just a little bit, and I think Sands is going to reward the team with their patience in keeping him around.
Okay, cool. Sanjay?
Well, I called for 31 for Marte, so if he's not going to win it, then it's got to be somebody hitting more than that. The only one I think I can do that is Oyama, and it would be 35 big ones.
Okay. Well, I am going to be a little bit maybe pessimistic, if you will, and I'm going to say that my prediction in the tiebreaker, which is only visible on the website, and that would be Jeffrey Marte. Against all odds, this is a guy that has been injured the last 2 seasons and not put in a full year, but I think this is the year he gets it all together, and he has looked really good this spring. A couple of reasons I've got him higher with 27. Oyama is still going to do quite well, but I think he might fit in around 25. Marte is batting 3rd currently, which will give him more at-bats than Oyama. He's batting in front of Oyama, which will give him probably better pitches than Oyama might see, depending on who's behind him. If Sato is behind Oyama and Sato is not, hitting the cover off the ball, which could or could not happen, Oyama might get pitched around a little bit more. And then also, I think that with Marte having the plate discipline that he does, he's been walking a lot and ignoring a lot of bad pitches. I think that he has learned, maybe better than Oyama, who still has that tendency to swing at pitch 1. I think Marte has got a better tendency to wait for his pitch. So I've got him with 27. I might even alter that and move it up to 29 or even over 30. But right now, since I put 27, I'll stick with that. All right, well, we're going to assume that Chikamoto is going to steal more bases than anyone on the team, and he is trying to get his 3rd straight season of most stolen bases in the Central. Do you think he is going to be the stolen base title holder again in 2021? Sanjay?
Hands down, yes.
Gabe?
No contest.
JD?
Without a doubt.
Let's make it unanimous. Chikamoto, 3-time stolen base champion. You heard it here first, I hope. Okay. RBIs. I don't know. Do you guys have a different guy with RBIs than your home run leader? Probably not. So we're just going to kind of pass over that. But I do have a question for you guys, which is a bit of a bolder prediction maybe. Mel Rojas Jr. is going to be coming in late. I wonder how much playing time he's going to get and what his line is going to look like at season's end. And this is like really, this is like walking on eggshells, you guys, because we don't want to assume that he's going to go the way of like a Willeen Rosario or anything like that. But we also don't want to pile on these expectations like he's going to hit, 30 home runs and 100 RBIs and bat 350 or anything like he did in KBO. Any thoughts on how Rojas is going to fit in? Do you think that he is going to steal regular playing time when he gets here? Or do you think that he is going to bump up and down between the farm and the top squad? Or what's your take on that, Gabe?
I think he's going to find his way into a role, whether it's a starting role, who's to say. He may spend some time on the farm just to get acclimated, but the Hanshin Tigers have sort of picked up on like the new money ball in NPB, which is hire people out of the KBO. They're more accustomed to playing the sport with a different strike zone, with different umpires, with a different arrangement and different play style. So Jerry Sands was able to adapt pretty quickly from his first year coming over. I'm expecting a similar stat line for Rojas. I wouldn't be surprised if he's batting in the 270s with maybe 20 home runs and a healthy amount of RBIs.
Cool. JD, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to depend again, like we said in the podcast itself, just about on what the other guys are doing. You know, if Marte and Sands are both performing really well, it's kind of a conundrum for the manager. If either of those guys, unfortunately, I think starts to slip, then you're going to see the Tigers be the Tigers and be really trigger happy. Throw Rojas in there. And so the amount of playing time is going to depend on that, I think. But I expect to see him on the top squad a fair amount. And yeah, I mean, depending on how much time he gets, maybe 15 home runs, something like that is probably where we'll end up, you know, again, depending on when he actually gets in there to start playing.
So it'll be interesting that, you know, last year JB hit 17 home runs and they sent him packing after 1 year.
Right.
If Rojas does the same, are they going to do the same with him? Here's the thing with Rojas, though, is that he's got, I believe, a player option on year 2. It was a team option on Justin Boer's contract, and so that makes it a little bit different. Sanjay, what do you got to say about Mr. Rojas?
Well, I mean, I really am looking forward to watching him play, but given the circumstances, I think that the Tigers would be smart to bring him along very slowly, start him off. You know, he's not going to be game ready by any means. And so let him play on the farm and sort of find his footing and get used to living in Japan. And as the summertime rolls around, maybe, and, you know, heaven forbid any of our guys get injured or anything, that's when I think you try and give him, bring him along slowly with low expectations. And I'm sure he'll have a solid year, but it's not going to be a full season. It's going to be like a half a season. And, you know, I'd be surprised if we got the 20 dingers. So
it could be kind of like a Jan Hervis Solarte type of situation, except that he's here right from the start, as opposed to calling him in June and then saying, okay, you've landed. Are you over jet lag? Not quite. Okay, come up to the top squad anyways and see what you can do, right? I think that with Rojas, if they do bring him along slowly, and even if they have him, you know, just staying warm on the farm, as long as he's happy with that, you know, with the paycheck and with the playing time and with the shot to get called up to the top squad and have an impact, I think that is going to do wonders for the team. That's, again, going to be the big X factor with the Tigers is, can they keep these guys happy, right? And that includes guys like John Edwards and Wei-Yin Chen, who are, I guess, going to be starting on the farm, right? And maybe Alcantara as well.
Joe Gunkel, don't forget him.
Well, he's going to be in the rotation at the start. But yeah, just the same, these guys that are getting moved up and down the ladder, are they going to be okay with that if they end up spending a couple of months straight on the farm, right? Or are they going to say, like, you know what, I could spend my time a lot better somewhere else than here? So we'll see how that goes.
Helps. Winning is fun. Let's focus on winning.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, one more thing I didn't mention in the show proper that I want to say here, and that is, I think one of the reasons I picked the Tigers over the Giants is it just seems like a momentum thing. Who was in on the sweepstakes for Teruaki Sato besides the Tigers? The Giants. Who lost? The Giants. Who was in on the sweepstakes for Mel Rojas Jr. as well? The Giants. Who did he choose? The Tigers. And so I kind of feel like there's this kind of trend, at least in this past offseason, of Tigers greater than Giants. And let's see it continue in the actual season. You know, it's hardly a predictor. You know, baseball is not played that way. But I just like the way things went this past offseason.
Well, yeah, I've got scars from the last. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Okay. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I feel like the momentum is definitely moving in the Tigers' direction. Like it's been a while since I've had the ability to say that, I think, but they're building in the right direction, I think, for sure. So you might be onto something there.
I just going to say I have scars from the last time my team was crowned off-season championship. Ask me how the 2013 Blue Jays did.
So here's another thing, and we're going to talk about pitchers and stats as well, but we've got some guys in our back pocket as well, and that includes Haruto Takahashi, who we didn't mention at all in the show. He will be back at some point. It was an oblique injury that sidelined him, but he's a guy that slots into that starting rotation. that pulls out an already potentially capable guy. And so, and he's a guy that does quite well against the Giants as well. So we'll see how that goes. Now, speaking of pitchers, guys, let's predict who is going to lead the team in wins, in ERA, and then strikeouts. And we can do this all in one shot. So why don't I get us started on this? And then you guys can chime in afterwards. I think Nishi's going to lead us in wins just because he is the leader. He is very healthy and he's stable. We know what to expect from him. We have some other really good pitchers, and I think Akiyama has got the potential to be another guy to lead us in wins, and we haven't talked about him much as well. But I'm going to say Nishi with, again, I think wins are going to be down a little bit this year, but I'm still going to say 13 for Nishi, which puts him a little bit higher than he got in 2019 when I think he got 10 or 11. So I think he'll be a little bit higher there. For ERA, I think that just to go with something a little bit different, and again, not looking at qualifying pitchers, but we will stick to the starters. I'm going to go back to Haruto Takahashi, who I think has just got the stuff. As long as he can be a little bit healthier than he's been in the past, he could be the ERA leader. I'm going to put him in the low twos, like a 2.22, just for the sake of twos. And then for strikeouts, I think our boy Shinchan, he's a strikeout machine. He crushed it when he was in the bullpen last year, and he was quite good even as a starter as far as strikeouts go. If he stays in the rotation, I think he is a lock for leader in Ks. And I'm going to say in 143 games, he's going to get us, say, 155. And we'll see how that goes. Okay, so next, I'm going to Sanjay. Who you got for those three stats?
All right. Well, I'm going to go a little bit differently than the direction that you took, Trevor.
Please.
I wanted to give all three to the same guy, and it's not the guy that you're thinking of. Mr. Rain Man,
Yeah.
Aoyagi. I think that he's turned the corner somewhere in there, and you saw his 10-digit strikeout, or 10 double-digit 10 home runs. Yeah, 10-digit strikeouts will be quite the deal. So I think he can do it all. I think he can get the most wins. He's 7-9 or something like that, and many of those losses could turn into W's the way he's been pitching. He is capable of a solid low ERA, the way he pitches a lot of ground balls. And I think that he can now win a lot of, or get a lot of Ks. So I'm going to give all three to Aoyagi. And I know that maybe I'll be wrong on 2 out of 3, but who cares?
It's good. Go bold or go home. JD, follow that.
Mine matches up pretty much with yours exactly. I didn't factor the shortened games into my wins for Nishi. But I have Nishi leading us with wins with 14. Strikeouts, like you said, Fujinami, I think he's the guy who can do it. I don't know exactly how many he's going to have, but yeah, he does strike guys out pretty regularly. So yeah, like you said, assuming he stays in the rotation, I think he's got that. And then for ERA too, I mean, again, assuming Takahashi comes back and stays healthy, I think he's going to be mid to low 2s. So I've got nothing to disagree with your predictions there.
Just goes to show then that I did a good job because you matched me nice. Gabe, did you do any simulations on this? I'm sure that the stats come through with all that as well. Are you going to go with that, or are you going to go with your own personal hunches, or what?
I'm going to go with my own personal hunches with a slight twist. So okay. I'm also going to blend up your suggestion or your predictions. Wins, I think, is going to be Yuki Nishi. I don't have an exact number, but I think he's still the ace of the squad. ERA, I'm going to go with Aoyagi. Because of that ground ball tendency, as long as the defense holds up, he'll be able to minimize balls going over the fence and keep his ERA low. For strikeouts, I like Takahashi. I've seen a number of starts in him of his in the last 2 years where he's hit double digits in Ks. I really like how he's able to throw the ball. But I also want to give some respect to Robert Suarez as a K per 9 or strikeouts per 9 guy. He makes every game 8 innings long. And taking a quick look on the advanced stats, and you mentioned it, I found this website a while ago called Pro IQ. I like I and Q like in Yaku. It's all Power BI visualizations from 2005 to the present day, and it will be updated for the new year. It's run by a Hanshin Tigers fan who lives in Colorado.
Yeah.
And intriguingly enough, the K per 9 for the Hanshin Tigers has gone down each of the last 4 seasons to the point where it's now below league average. So we're clearly able to win without needing the strikeout. Imagine what we can do with more.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Well, it's definitely going to be a fun year, guys. So all of these predictions, plus the ones in the show, are going to have us accountable, hold us accountable at season's end. But here's to hoping that we are celebrating a big victory at the end. And just as a finisher, I bought this magazine on Yahoo Auctions a while ago. It is Number, and it was from 1985 when the Tigers won the pennant. And I shared a little picture of this with the guys a couple of days ago. But there's all sorts of fun stuff. Again, this came out in 1985, so there's so much fun extras. One of the things that they had was, I'm trying to find it and I can't find it now, but they said basically that this is 1985. Remember, it was published like early November, before they won the Nipponichi, actually. But they said that the Tigers in 1994 will have won their 10th straight Japan series to break the Giants dynasty. Did that happen, guys? I kind of forgot. That's all a blur. Anyways, just fun stuff. One of the extra little things that I've been able to purchase on the side. And so, if I can share a little bit of that with everybody at some point, I will. One of the fun things in there was that they got some of the old foreigners that used to be on the team to put in a congratulations message to the 1985 squad. And so I haven't actually read it, but guys like Gene Backey and Hal Breeden and Mike Reinbach and guys like that put in their congratulations for the team. And hopefully at the end of this season, there will be a different batch of former foreigners like George Arias, Matt Merton, and other guys that will be doing the same. Craig Brazell, looking at you. We would love to get congratulations from you guys at season's end. Well, we're wrapping things up, but one final thanks to you guys for coming out and sticking around a bit longer for the bonus at the end. So thanks, JD.
Yeah, no problem.
Sanjay, appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It's always good to be with you guys.
And Gabe, we look forward to having you on again as well. Thanks for coming.
Always a pleasure, T-Ray.
All right, guys. This has been T-Ray and the crew. Have a great one, and go Tigers go. Baseball on.